Michael B. Jordan just stepped off that Oscar stage, shining with that win.
God is good. God is good.
And instantly, the internet flipped the spotlight onto Lori Harvey like it was part of the show.
Just remember that you're the prize always.
Say that one more time.
Just remember that you are the prize.
What prize?
Oh! This wasn't just a small group talking either. This was everywhere. Celebrities, bloggers, fans, even random accounts with barely any followers jumped in, all pushing the same loud narrative. It was confirmed tea.
You walk around with the gait of a refrigerator and you have a bad and or delusional attitude and you're still calling yourself the prize, you are in a state of delusion that must be studied.
People started saying she dumped him. He went on to win an Oscar. She tried to circle back with a congrats. And he left her on red like it meant nothing. That's the storyline taking over right now, and it's way too big to ignore. This is exactly what we need to break down, especially with what's coming next in this video. And trust me, it gets emotional later, so don't miss it. Welcome to Fame Thunder. Hit that subscribe button right now and jump into the comments. To let your voice be heard, don't just watch, be part of the conversation. Now let's get straight into what actually went down. On March 15th, 2026, Michael B. Jordan didn't just win Best Actor for Sinners, he made history in a huge way. He became only the 6th Black man in 98 years to ever take home that award, and that's not small at all. That's legendary status. People were watching a real milestone happen right in front of them, and the energy in that room was powerful. His speech hit deep too. He brought up his father, who flew all the way from Ghana just to see that moment live, which made everything feel even more real. And when he finally held that Oscar, Leonardo DiCaprio was the first one up, walking straight over to hug him like it was a once-in-a-lifetime scene. The whole thing felt genuine, emotional, and unforgettable. But the second he stepped off that stage, everything took a sharp turn. The internet didn't stay focused on the win for long. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere you looked, one name kept popping up: Lori Harvey. People weren't even talking about the movie anymore. Instead, Lori Harvey fumbled the bag, started trending within minutes, completely hijacking his moment and turning it into something else entirely. And it didn't stop there because things got even louder. Celebrities started jumping in, her family got a little messy, and Michael B. Jordan, he stayed completely silent, and somehow that silence spoke volumes.
Keeping stuff to yourself and keeping it private and learning, when to talk and when not to talk.
You already know there are layers to this, so stay locked in because it only gets deeper from here. Now, real quick, if you don't know the backstory, let's line it up properly because this situation won't hit the same without it. Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey's stepdaughter, is a model and social media personality who's constantly in the spotlight. She's been one of the most talked about names when it comes to celebrity dating, known for being linked to high-profile men, and yeah, people also notice she doesn't stick around too long. Then came Michael B. Jordan, and this wasn't just another casual situation. They were together for about 18 months, and everything pointed to him being fully invested. We're talking big gestures. He rented out an entire aquarium for Valentine's Day, which is not something you do unless you're serious. He even opened up emotionally in a way people had never seen before. Reports from People magazine said he really let his guard down with her, showing a side he usually keeps private in relationships. Then out of nowhere, June 2022 hit, and Lori ended it just like that.
Remember that you're the prize always.
Say that one more time.
Just remember that you are the prize.
Yes,
all right.
I'm the prize. What does that mean?
It just means not compromising like my values, my happiness, my peace, not settling for less than what I know I deserve, and not being afraid to walk away from a situation if it's like no longer serving me.
Imagine calling yourself the prize and you dating Future, baby. That's why I always tell my young G's, their past matters.
She was 25, he was 35, a full 10-year gap, and they were clearly not on the same page in life. Reports were saying she wasn't ready for anything too serious, that she wanted to have fun and be free. And that quote kept getting repeated everywhere. Meanwhile, he was all in. And when it ended, it hit him hard.
Situation, not to give it, any energy and kind of move from that is, it was an experience for me to grow, and learn.
Still, he didn't go online, didn't do interviews, didn't throw shade. He stayed completely quiet and just kept it moving. Lori, though, didn't stay single for long. She quickly moved on and started dating British actor Damson Idris, known for Snowfall, and people were really watching that closely. At the time, the narrative was that she was the one in control, the one with the upper hand, the one who walked away without looking back. Then everything shifted. Michael B. Jordan jumped straight into filming Sinners right after that breakup, no pause, no distractions. That movie went on to pull in 16 Oscar nominations, and then he took home Best Actor. The timeline feels wild when you line it all up. She left, he leveled up, and now here we are. And the internet? Completely lost it, going all the way in with reactions that didn't hold back at all. The second MBJ won, the internet did what it always does, completely lost control. Twitter was going crazy, TikTok was flooded, and Instagram comment sections turned into straight-up roast arenas. And almost every single post had one target: Lori Harvey. People weren't holding back at all, throwing out takes left and right like it was open season. You had comments like, Lori Harvey now knows she fumbled Michael B. Jordan after he won the Oscars. He was the prize. The hashtags started trending almost instantly. Hashtag fumbled the bag. Hashtag Lori Harvey regrets. Hashtag Michael B. Jordan won. And they were everywhere you looked. Memes were dropping nonstop too. Edited clips showing Lori crying in front of a TV, old couple photos with captions like, what could have been? The internet was relentless and clearly not in a forgiving mood. Then things got even messier. A rumor started making rounds, and while nothing was officially confirmed, people were running with it anyway. The claim going around was that Lori allegedly told MBJ to his face right before the breakup, "You'll never win an Oscar." That's the line people started repeating everywhere. Now, to be clear, nobody actually confirmed that was ever said, but that didn't stop the internet from running wild with it. And with the timing of everything, people were way too ready to believe it without asking questions. Then another claim started spreading. And this is where things really went off the rails. Word started going around that Lori allegedly reached out to him after his big win. Texts, calls, even a congrats. And supposedly got left on red with zero response. That alone had people reacting like it was the ultimate plot twist. And this next part? This is what really pushed everything into overdrive. Reports kept popping up saying she tried multiple times to contact him, and he didn't reply at all. Not one message, not one call back, nothing. None of this has been officially confirmed. No statement from MBJ, no statement from Lori. But that didn't matter because the story spread like wildfire. The narrative was just too perfect for people to ignore, and once it caught on, there was no stopping it. The internet went all the way in, praising him like crazy. People were calling it king behavior, saying he left her on read while holding an Oscar in his hand, like that was the ultimate power move.
As a man, you have to focus on the value that you contribute to this world, to this planet, the value or the perception within your work, within your effort. Because the more that you successfully do it, the more that you build in on your legacy, the more that you can command exactly what you want out of this world. Michael B. Jordan's access back when he was dating a Lori Harvey is far lower than what it is right now. He's able to step into rooms now that he would have not been able to years ago.
Others were posting, at the biggest moment of his career, he didn't entertain a single message from his ex. That's real self-control. And honestly, a lot of that commentary had people nodding along because it seemed to line up perfectly with how everything played out. If you really think about it, it kind of adds up. She's in a whole new relationship. He's been locked in on his work, leveling up and hitting the peak of his career. So people started asking, why would he even reopen that door? And according to the rumors, he didn't. That just added more fuel to how people were viewing this situation. But then things took another turn, and this is where it got even more interesting. It wasn't just about what people were saying online anymore. It was about what the Harvey family did. Or more importantly, what they didn't do. Reports started circulating that Lori Harvey, Damson Idris, and even the entire Harvey family, including Steve Harvey, skipped the Oscars completely, no appearance at the Dolby Theater, no sighting at the Vanity Fair after party, nothing at all. And that stood out because Steve Harvey is known for showing up at major events. So people definitely noticed the absence right away. That's literally his thing, showing up, being seen, staying in the mix. So when he was missing on Oscar night, people caught that immediately. The reported reason? They knew MBJ had a real shot at winning, and they didn't want to be anywhere near that moment. if it actually happened. So instead of taking that chance, they just didn't show up at all. Meanwhile, Michael B. Jordan kept it calm and focused. He walked the red carpet with his mother, Donna Jordan. No date, no distractions, no drama, just him and his mom by his side. And then he went in there and won the whole thing, like it was meant to happen that way. Of course, the internet had a lot to say about that too. People were posting things like, they skipped the Oscars because they couldn't handle watching him win. That's next level. Others said, avoiding the biggest night in Hollywood just to dodge your ex? That says everything. And honestly, the silence and absence had people talking louder than any statement ever could. Then Damson Idris got pulled right into the middle of it, the second MBJ won. The attention didn't stop at Lori. He started catching heat too, and it got intense fast. For context, Damson is a 30-year-old British actor, talented and well known for Snowfall, no question about that. But since he hasn't been nominated for a major award, people started unfairly lining his name up next to MBJ's Oscar win, and the comparison started flying all over social media. And it got even louder because people started putting their names side by side like it was a direct comparison. Twitter was flooded with posts saying, "She left Michael B. Jordan, an Oscar winner for Damson Idris." People were saying Lori allegedly got with Damson thinking he was the next big thing, the rising star, the one about to take over. Meanwhile, they claimed she walked away from someone who was about to reach a level almost nobody predicted at the time. That contrast had the internet locked in. And just like that, the narrative completely flipped overnight. It went from MBJ fumbled Lori to Lori fumbled MBJ. No debate, no hesitation. Just a full switch in how people were framing everything. Then more reports started popping up saying Lori and Damson were allegedly seen looking tense in Paris not long after the win. Now, whether that means anything or not is up for interpretation, but of course, people added it to the story anyway. And now this brings us to another layer that really got people talking, the Future angle and the hypocrisy. People started calling out loud and clear, yes, that Future.
Attract a man like Michael B. Jordan, which, doesn't have the reputation of a Future. And some would say that's an attempt of cleaning up her past because it's already been destroyed.
The rapper really decided to jump into the conversation and add his own comments, even though reports say he was still bothered about Lori ending things with him back around New Year's. And people were quick to point out the contradiction. How are you going to clown someone for fumbling MBJ now when you were calling him lame not that long ago? That didn't sit right with a lot of folks watching this unfold. Now here's the backstory because it actually matters to everything people are saying. When Lori and Future split, she moved on pretty quickly and started dating Michael B. Jordan soon after. That didn't go unnoticed, and Future clearly had something to say about it. He jumped in the studio and addressed it in his song Maybach, making sure people caught the reference. In the track, he said, "Magic City, I'm the owner, tell Steve Harvey I don't want her," which already had people raising eyebrows. But then an extended version of that verse leaked around the same time news broke about Lori and MBJ. And that version went even further. He rapped, "Must have forgot to tell her daddy she begged me not to leave. Put baguettes on your ankles damn near up to your knees. She didn't have a choice but to go F a lame after me, baby." And yeah, people took that as a direct shot at MBJ. He was calling him lame straight up, no filter. And if that wasn't enough, he even posted a video of him and Lori together with the caption, "Should have never given a messy girl a chance," which only added more drama to the situation and gave the internet even more to talk about. And just like that, fast forward to 2026. MBJ wins the Oscar, and Future pops back up, clowning Lori for fumbling the same man he was calling lame just a couple years ago. The internet caught that contradiction instantly. People were like, wait, didn't you just say he wasn't all that? Now he's the prize? The switch up was way too obvious and nobody let it slide. At the same time, people weren't exactly shocked either. When Future gets involved in anything, it almost always turns messy. And this situation followed that exact pattern. Every time his name enters the mix, things escalate fast, and this was no different. It's also important to remember Lori was the one who ended things with him first. So seeing him still speak on it years later had people side-eyeing the situation heavy. A lot of comments were pointing out that it says more about who really moved on and who didn't. And then this next part really had people talking because Lori didn't exactly stay quiet after her 2022 breakup with MBJ either. While he kept things low and said nothing publicly, Her side got a little more vocal, and the internet didn't forget that. Her mom, Marjorie, even shared a clip of actress Jennifer Lewis saying, "If you sit in it for too long, it stops smelling. So come out of there." And people took that as a clear shot. Then Lori added her own layer, posting a photo of a license plate on her IG story, which only added more mystery and speculation to the situation. And that license plate? It straight up said, "Dump him." That alone had people raising eyebrows. Then she followed it up with an interview, talking about how MBJ didn't meet her standards and how she wasn't going to settle. That added even more fuel to what people were already thinking. What made it hit harder is that while they were together, she was saying completely different things. There's footage of her saying, "He called me Sunday morning and said, 'Get dressed, I'm coming to pick you up,' and then took her an hour away to a farmer's market just because she mentioned wanting to go." That shows he was paying attention, listening, and actually putting in effort. So when people saw her later throwing shade, it didn't sit right at all. But the part that really got everyone talking, Steve Harvey himself got pulled into this. He shared on his show that he ran into MBJ at a basketball game, showed him respect, shook his hand, and then Lori told him not to do that again. That shocked a lot of people. Steve even said it in his own words. "I saw one of her exes somewhere at a game and I shook his hand. Boy, I can't even touch his hand no more. I better not acknowledge him or look at him or nothing." That moment had people reacting heavy. So now people are looking at this like, she told her own father to cut off a man who never publicly disrespected her, never spoke badly about her, and stayed completely silent the entire time. And somehow, years later, there's still tension being talked about. Even with all that, when Steve and MBJ crossed paths, there was still mutual respect there. That stood out to a lot of people because it showed there wasn't any public bad blood from his side. So now the question is loud. Did Lori Harvey really fumble one of the biggest situations in Hollywood? Or is it unfair to judge her choices based on how everything played out years later? One minute, people were saying MBJ wasn't enough, and the next minute, he's standing on that Oscar stage while the entire narrative flips in real time. What's wild is how quickly people switch sides. Back then, Lori was being praised for knowing her worth and walking away. Now suddenly, those same voices are calling it the biggest mistake ever. That contrast is exactly why the story blew up the way it did. Because it exposed how opinions online can change overnight. Because nobody was calling it a fumble when the breakup first happened. It only became that after the success hit, and that says a lot about how people judge decisions based on results instead of what made sense at the time. And let's not ignore this either. MBJ never said a word through all of this. No interviews, no clapbacks, no subtle posts, nothing. That silence ended up becoming one of the loudest parts of the entire story. It gave people space to create their own narratives, and they definitely ran with it. Meanwhile, Lori hasn't directly addressed any of this either, which just keeps the speculation alive. The less both sides say, the more the internet fills in the blanks, and clearly, they've been doing that nonstop. So now everything sits in this strange space where nobody involved is confirming anything, but everybody has something to say. And that's exactly why this story refuses to slow down. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any bigger, the conversation kept evolving in ways nobody expected. Because now people aren't just talking about the relationship, they're talking about image, legacy, and who really came out on top. It's not even just gossip anymore, it's turned into a full debate online. You've got one side saying this is a clear example of leveling up after a setback. But then there's another side pushing back saying this whole narrative is unfair. They're arguing that a relationship ending doesn't equal failure and that trying to tie someone's personal decision to another person's career success doesn't really make sense. And honestly, that perspective has people thinking too. And let's be real, moments like this stick around. Every time MBJ wins something else, this conversation is probably going to come right back up. Every new headline, every appearance, it all reconnects to the same narrative. People can't seem to let go of. At the center of it all, you've got two people who moved on with their lives, but the internet refuses to move on with them. And that might be the wildest part of this entire situation. That's the end of the story, and clearly, people are still not done talking about it anytime soon. Make sure you subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this with someone who needs to see it.